would probably have stoked inflation just as it had shown signs of easing. Presidential elections used to be all about the economy. If that's true this time, then Bidenomics is now strong enough to carry the Biden-Harris administration to a second term. Joining us now is Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, Senior Associate Dean of Leadership Studies at the Yale School of Management and a CNBC contributor. Professor Sonnenfeld, I know you have been trying to get attention to two economies actually at the same time, because there's the story of the economic disaster in Russia, which is largely a result of the masterful handling of the resistance to the Russian invasion of Ukraine by President Zelensky and with President Biden's help. But also what we're seeing here in the United States. We went through an unprecedented challenge to this economy with the pandemic. It was very hard to predict what would happen next. There was no real model for it. But here we are.
It's so true, Lawrence, and you're right. Putin's economy is collapsing, imploding. He survives only by cannibalizing the state-owned enterprises he controls. But just a very different story here in the U.S. We have seen what so many of the economists got wrong. So many of the bankers who told us we were going to have this Category 5, horrible hurricane of a storm. And now what we're seeing is Morgan Stanley today came out with a report saying they got it wrong. And good for them for admitting it. They have quadrupled their GDP estimates up to about a 2% growth, which means no recession. We're seeing inflation plummeting down to around 3%. We were almost at 10% last year, down to 3% is remarkable. And unemployment at 3.2%. The last time, we saw that, I think Bonanza was the biggest show on TV. And of course, LBJ was president. A lot has changed. We're seeing surging investment, as Jeff Zients pointed out. The new business creation is up the greatest ever, with up 30% over this past year and 50% growth in jobs. And who are those people who are hiring? There are people who were discouraged workers, people who were laid off from the pandemic. But with this employment level, there's no recession that looks like it's inconceivably coming. And all the major policies, the Inflation Adjustment Act, the Infrastructure Act, the CHIPS Act have all been huge boons to the economy and celebrated at long last by Wall Street. It's just some pollsters don't seem to have it right. The same pollsters who predicted a red wave last fall have people confused, and some of that's just because of a manufactured malaise that I think some GOP cynics are marketing out there.
Manufactured malaise. Oh, yeah.
About voters' attitudes towards this thing, and the voter attitudes are never a particularly accurate reflection of what's going on in the economy. And I have to say that this Biden administration has been such a huge factor in the economy. Most presidencies are relatively neutral players in the economy. Most presidencies don't dramatically change what's going on in terms of the government's interaction with the economy one way or the other. And I usually don't want to give the presidencies very much credit for what happens, the good things that happen or the bad things that happen in the economy. But this administration has been so active in the economy, you have to really twist it to try to pull them out of the list of where the credit goes for this economy being where it is tonight.
Absolutely. And across the board, we're seeing the results. There's that confidence that you saw, as you mentioned, the Conference Board survey, consumer confidence up 70%. But so is it with Wall Street. We have the NASDAQ up 50% this year. It's pretty remarkable. And the S&P up 20%. This is everything is going in the right direction. The cynicism out there is just something which is being echoed, in a circular echo chamber of sorts. But it's the financial facts are something quite different than what the pollsters put out there. It's the pollsters who got everything wrong in the fall are the same pollsters basically who follow the model. If you can't predict accurately or you predict often, they try to wash over the fact that Amy Walter, the Cook report, was telling us we're going to have a 35-seat majority Republican Senate. That didn't quite happen, Lawrence. And you find that some get intimidated by the cynics in the economics profession. You see, whether or not it's our old friend Larry Summers out there sort of talking down Bidenomics. There's sort of this Rudy Giuliani, JFK Jr., Alan Dershowitz, forget-me-not crowd that thinks you get attention by cynicism. Let's just focus
Yes.
on the facts instead of
Yes.
throwing around the ideology. The facts are
Wow.
uniformly positive. We haven't seen an economy like this, and the Biden administration has been more successfully economically interventionist than the New Deal, since the New Deal,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yale Professor Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
joining us
very
tonight.
much for clarifying that.
Thank you.